We're back ready to rock and roll. Make sure you guys sign in right now, please. Legia, hi. Everybody here said happy birthday to you. You weren't here, but we all said happy birthday to you. We celebrated for you. It was a fun class yesterday. I know you were working, yeah, I know. All right, we still got a few people missing to check in. Come on, guys. You have the session ID 12629, or the easiest way is for you to scan this QR code and just scan the QR code and put the icon that's presented right in front of you. All right, 26. All right. Make sure your cameras are on, please. Everybody should have the cameras on. Otherwise, it does not count towards your hours. Cameras on. I'll take the words from somebody yesterday. The faster or the sooner we do this, everybody with cameras on and scanned, the earlier we leave. All right? All right, 31. We're almost there. I'm missing a few. All right. While we're waiting for everybody to sign in, I don't know if you guys saw the group chat, but we already have the books here. All right. Sandra, make sure you sign in. You're still not signed in. Who else? Patricia joined us. Hey, Patricia. Hope everything is better today. Since you were in the morning and in the evening, right? You were there in the YouTube. I hope everything is better today. Chaz, I know I did not reply to you. I apologize for that. Next time, send me more messages. But what we're doing today, for instance, so you missed yesterday. Whatever we're doing today, the morning class is going to do 2 weeks after because they are 2 weeks behind. Okay, so whatever you missed, if you need to catch up, is going to be 2 weeks after. Whatever the day was, yesterday, right? Count 2 weeks, and that's what it is. Oh, so I was saying, the books came in. If you ordered a book and you were supposed to come pick up, we have already all the books here. If you ordered a book and it's supposed to be out for delivery and you have not received yet, send me a message so I know exactly who did not receive it yet at home, and I can check with a printer to see what happened. Okay. All right, I think everybody is here. And we are good to start. All right, so ready to start. YouTube is good. Zoomers, you're good. So today we're going to do chapter 18 and 19. 18 and 19. All right. I have a question here from Legia. Are we allowed to get any morning classes? Legia and everybody else, you guys can do as many classes as you want. The only thing that's questionable, because the Zoom I have up to 100 people, so I can fit up to 100 people. The most I've had was like 53, but we can go up to 100 people. In class, the max that I can put in here is 10 people for now. So we have plenty of distance, more than 6 feet apart, and that's the reason why we can only put 10 people. We currently have in the morning class, we have 4 people here, so if you're coming in for the morning class, you want to be here one day, anyone, if you want to be here one day, you can. Just let me know so I make sure that I have availability for you. If you want to do the evening class, come here in person. Just let me know so I can have make sure to have space for you. Right now I have plenty of space. The evening class, usually I only have one person. I had a second person, but she was here for one day and ran away. Right? Anna, she was here for one day and says, nah, never again. I like this guy at a distance, not too close. So gone. And then blamed the baby. Like, oh, baby needs me. Like, okay, whatever. She blamed the baby needs me. Another one doesn't come to class because pregnant. You know, I don't understand you guys. But anyway, whatever. I've been pregnant for years, and I don't miss a class. All right. Ligia just said need to take a shower. At a distance? You can smell it from there? Jeez. Anna, tell me the truth. That was it? That's what was needed? All right, I think everybody signed in already. Let's move forward. Jokes aside. All right, so we're going to talk about real estate investment today and then taxes. All right, real estate investment. First thing I want to ask you guys is very simple. What is an investment? Let me know. What do you think? What is an investment? All right, we got great answers. Let's see what we got here. So we have something you put time and money into, buying something to get profit in the future. Anybody else? We got 35 people. Anybody else's opinion? I don't see some cameras on. Make sure your cameras are on. Otherwise, it does not count towards your hours. Remember that? No camera, no hours. No camera, no hours. All right, Sandra says, take something of value and put it to work to get profits. Okay, cool. Anybody else? YouTubers? Tatiana says profits. An investment is profits. Okay. Leisure, something of value and you put time and work to increase the value. Business where you make money. Ingrid, right? Jaquana says something you buy with hopes of return and profit. Okay. Anybody else? I mean, we got like 10 answers out of 35 people. Nobody else? You guys don't know what an investment is? There's like 20-something people that don't know what an investment is. You don't have to Google. I just want to know what your opinion. That's all we're looking for right now is opinions. Chrissy says purchase for profit. Tati says, well, it could be profit or losses depending on type of investment. Okay. Anybody else? Make a profit or save. Okay. Come on, it's not a Monday, it's not a Friday. What's happening? What is happening? I'm waiting. You got to participate. There's no wrong answer. No wrong answer. All right, answer's coming through. Hold on, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. What do we have? Put money towards something that we intend to make a profit out of. Purchasing or doing something for any type of future benefit. Out in money in hopes of making profit and hopefully not lose your original investments. Assets for profit. Invest for profit. Invest money for profit. A purchase that might be profitable. All right. So we got a nice size of answers right now. All right. So pretty much what we got, Anna just said, when you take a risk and put your time and money to gain something. Okay. I think we just got the right answer, what I was going to ask anyway. So Anna just you put your time and effort, right? Or money, I'm sorry. Time and money to gain something. I know Ligia mentioned that before, but there's one thing that was not mentioned. What is an investment? Keyword, risk. An investment is risk, period. Now, some of you kept on mentioning money. Ligia was one of the first ones that mentioned time as well, efforts, right? But that's what it is. It's risk. It could be time, it could be money, it could be emotional, it could be psychological, right? Guys, are you or have you been in a relationship at any point in time in your life? There's an emotional and psychological investment, right? For some people, there's an actual monetary investment in a relationship. I'm not saying how that works, but right now, Carly, for instance, is investing in different backgrounds, making herself transparent for some reason. What's happening, Carly? I thought I was the ghost, and all of a sudden you just disappear. I don't know what's happening there. So technically, investment equals risk. Simple as that. Risk. It's not money. It's not time. It could be any of these. But the outcome, now, a lot of you wrote also for profits, right? But then, and I'm looking at the combination of what the stuff you mentioned, right? So I'm combining some of your answers here. But then, Tatiana, well, it depends. It could be profit, but it could also be losses depending on the type of investment, right? So we go back to the same thing. It's risk. Guys, you wake up in the morning, it's a risk. You're investing on getting out of the house and doing something. That's an investment. You could just stay put. You might not lose anything. You might not win anything. You could just stay put. You guys go to work. You put in your time and effort in exchange for money. Hopefully one day you get that raise. That's your investment right there. You get the raise because you go to work, right? Some of you talked about business, putting money, like I think Ingrid, it was you that talked about business for profit, right? So some of you, it's, hey, I'm going to open up a business. That's an investment and hopefully make profit out of it. But if you guys notice, hope is always the word there because there is a certain degree of risk. So what I want you guys to think is that an investment is always, always, always a risk. Okay, always. There's always a chance that the money you spend is more than the money you get back. There's always a chance that the time you waste, you might not get it back. And look, time we never get it back. I know, but what I'm saying is, because you put time and effort, you expect some type of return, whether it's monetary return or whatever it is. I told you about relationships as well, right? So it is some type of return, but you might have wasted it. You never know. The thing is, if we don't try to do something, most likely we'll never get it anyway, right? So there's a degree of risk. Now, some investments are low risk, some are medium risk, and some are high risk. So again, low risk investment, medium risk investment, high risk investment, right? Can anybody tell me 100% guaranteed, nothing's going to fail type of investment? Anyone? 100% guaranteed, never going to fail type of investment? Anyone? Just one. Give me one. One. A job? Jonathan, you're telling me that you cannot get fired, laid off, or the business goes out of business? That's what you told me? Carly, the same thing, investing time at work. Lula, the love you put onto your children. You never heard of situations where they put you in the nursing home and that's it? Bye-bye? All right, there's a risk. Alicia says none. Chrissy says buying food. You make a meal. Is that meal always going to be good? Are you going to be satisfied? Is there a risk of food poison? Is there a risk that like, throw it out and starve for the rest of the day because I don't have time to cook another one? Okay. Funeral home because everybody dies. So that's a guaranteed. What if they don't pay? It's guaranteed that somebody will die. Yes. So then in that logic, then we're talking about hospitals, right? Midwives and all that stuff. It's guaranteed because somebody's going to be born. Or let's talk about real estate. It's a guaranteed business because there's always somebody wants to sell, somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to rent. Somebody getting married, somebody getting divorced, baby being born, somebody dying. There's always a need for real estate. So you're telling me that this is 100% guaranteed? No. There's always a certain degree of risk. And I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you right now, what is the biggest variable in any investment? Ready? You guys know what's the biggest variable in any investment? Always repossess the casket. I can't believe you said that. Calvin, we don't repo caskets. We don't go there with a tow truck and say, hey, you coming with me? No, that's really bad. That's so bad. Not even I would do such a morbid joke. What is the biggest variable in any investment? The biggest variable in any investment. Anybody? Time, effort, the rewards, the biggest risk and the biggest variable in every investment. Look in the mirror. People. You. Because ultimately you make the decision of doing something or not. Yep. Mr. Piga right there. Ourselves. Yep. And also other people, because I'll guarantee you in any my partner is funny. The partnership is not a variable or a risk, Pedro. You are the risk. Or me. That's what it is. Both of us. But anyway, so even in the real estate transaction, guys, in the real estate transaction, the risk is all the variables. What are the variables? People. People are the variables. How does the market move if you invest in stock? It moves because of people, whether they buy or don't buy, whether they invest or don't invest, right? So your stock is pending their investments and vice versa, and their decisions and vice versa. You can decide to jump in on an investment when it's really low, Bitcoin as an example, right? Or realize, oh my God, it's at 40,000. I'm not investing anymore because it's going to go down. It has to go down, right? So there's a risk. It's you being undecisive. And then the variable is everybody else. In real estate, it's the realtor, you. It's the other realtor. It's the seller, the buyer, the attorney, the title company, the mortgage. These are all variables. City Hall trying to get a CO, right? These are all variables in the real estate transaction. So no real estate transaction is guaranteed either, all right? So the other question I have Hey, Sanam, good evening. Okay. The other question I have is, because we're talking about investment, we're talking about risk. I asked you about low risk investment, medium risk, and high risk investment. Just to understand more or less how you guys understood risk so far and investment. Right? Today is Tuesday, and we have something called Mega Millions. Right? Does anybody know how much the Mega is at right now? Anyone? $850? No, $865, but it's okay. $865. So almost $1 billion. We're getting there, right? Now, question. It only takes, a few years ago, used to be $1 in a dream. I still go with that because it's funny. $1 in a dream, right? But inflation, you know how it is. Your salaries don't go up, but the cost of gambling does go up. So here's another dollar. So now it's $2, but it's the same dream. Nothing has changed. It's the same dream. So $2, same dream. Is this a low risk, medium risk, or a high risk investment? $2 and the dream. Low risk, medium risk, or high risk investment? We had a bunch of lows. Now we got a bunch of highs. I got a medium. Thanks, Jonathan. Just to, stabilize things. I get it. Got a few highs. Is this low risk, medium risk, or high risk? Harley says if you only got $2, it's a high risk. Well, that will be any investment. If you only have the money you're about to invest, it's always high risk, no matter what. You guys need to understand what risk means. Risk means for every dollar I put in, how many dollars I get back? What's the percentage? What's going to be the return? So you're going to put $2. That's called the low cost of entry. That's totally different from risk. The risk is the factor of getting a return on your investment or not. Okay? So we invest $2 with the risk of not getting anything or possibly getting everything. The question is, what's the rate of return on this investment? How often are you guys going to get those $2 back? It's 0.0000001% times a couple of 0.0000000, right? So it's a high risk investment. You guys need to understand the difference between cost of entry and the actual risk of investment. Now, let me ask you a different way. If you go open up a business right now, let's say a restaurant business, you're going to put $250,000. Is that a low risk, medium risk, or high risk investment? You put $250,000. Low risk, medium, or high? See, you guys are not understanding again. $250,000 is the cost of entry. But it is a service that most people need. It's food. It's different than gambling $2 in hopes of getting $165 million. Go to a casino, you're putting money in expectations of a jackpot, right? So the $250,000 you're putting into the restaurant or any business, right? It's medium to low risk investment if you're in a place where, for instance, there's a lot of demand for another food place, right? If you have a bunch of restaurants already there, then it's a medium to high risk investment because you have to be kind of unique, right? The rate of return might not be as high as if the restaurant was in another place, but you still get some type of return because you're serving meals. Even if you get 10 people a day, you're getting money back. You guys understand? So it's always a medium to either low or high depending on where it's located and the need that people have. That's why we have to study location for the business that you're trying to put out there. All right. So cost of entry, again, I gave you a big number compared to the $2 for the gambling, right? Gave you a big number. The risk changes. It's not because of the amount of money you put in, right? It's for the type of business that you're getting in. Now let me ask you, what about real estate? What about being a realtor? Does anybody know more or less how much money? I already said this a couple of weeks ago. Does anybody know more or less how much money you need to start the business, real estate business? Let's start with, do you need an office as a salesperson? No. Do you need employees as a salesperson? No. You need a little bit of marketing, but most of it comes with your employing broker. So there's some type of shared marketing because they have the brand, and you just have to follow a few things. Not like you're paying a graphic designer to come up with things new. You follow whatever your brand has, right? What about Ingrid? You're looking at it wrong. Yes, the money is an issue, but the rate of return is the biggest issue, right? You putting 200. So Ingrid just wrote $250,000 to Bill Gates is not the same risk as $250,000 to me. Correct. But I'm talking about the business itself, not the cost of entry only. I'm talking about the return itself. If it's all the money you have, then yes, it's a high risk for you. Why would you do it, right? It's really you jumping off a cliff and hopefully somebody's going to catch you if that's all the money you have. For Bill Gates, if I lose, I lose. That's how it is, at 250. I understand that. But will the business be successful or not? Will the business give you a return or not? That was my question as far as the risk and return. But I agree with you. If the difference between somebody that has a bunch of millions of dollars versus, or billions of dollars versus one that only has like $1 million, it's totally different. I get it. But we're talking about the actual investment. The outcome, yes. Rate of return, yes. Because look, I'll put all my money into something if I know there's a guarantee of return. The problem is nothing has a guarantee of return. You see what I'm saying? That's the immediate risk, right? That's the immediate risk. It's what are the chances of return? And the reason why I'm giving you guys this is as you move into real estate, because that's the type of investment I like, even though stocks could be great. I don't mess with stocks. I hate the ups and downs. I don't have the time for the ups and downs. I have the time to, hey, I predict the next 5 to 10 years, right? I have a visual of the next 5 to 10 years in real estate, and that's how I've been working. Stock, like the next 5 to 10 seconds, I don't have, like, I'll have a heart attack before I can make money. So no stock for me. But people make a lot of money in stocks, don't get me wrong. I just like a little bit more stability. Anything that's medium to low risk, that's where I go. So as you move into real estate, people are always going to ask you, is this a great investment? Is this a good investment? Is this okay? Right? People are going to ask your opinion about properties. Okay? I sat down with somebody that we closed last week. I remember I told you guys we closed. And this person was like, oh, my family, nobody believes in this property. Nobody wants me to buy this property. I'm like, let's run the numbers. Let's run the numbers. That's what we care about, is the numbers, right? And when we ran the numbers, she's walking away with $1,000 clean every month. Would like to have $1,000 going to your pocket clean every month. Anybody? Right. Even if it was $250, even if it was $50, not as a property, but I'm just saying extra $50 that you don't count with, right? That comes into your pocket clean. The cool thing, like my partner and I, we always get involved in stuff that it's like that. We get stuff like I got example, I got like a 1,000 something the other day. He got like 3,000 or 4,000, right? It's the extra, and you're like, oh, great, thank you, appreciate it. It's always cool to have those clean stuff coming in every month, the extra stuff every month. Whether it's a little or it's a lot, of course, makes a difference. Just like the example of Ingrid with Bill Gates and us, right? Totally different type of, oh, $50 for Bill Gates. You're like, You know, for us, $50, we're like, woo, free meal today, right? We got all excited. But as you get into this, you need to understand what is a good investment for that person, right? And for that type of property. That's the business. What type of return are we getting on this property? Okay, this chapter, easy chapter to go through, but that type of return. That property is not in the best location, right? You might not have the best tenants, but it also doesn't have the updated rental income. Two of the units are $980 or something like that. And that's an easy $1,200 to $1,300 rental. So it's really under the market value. So even like that, she's cashing $1,000 clean. Great investment to me. Even if she wants to pay somebody to just go collect the rents. Great investment to me. You guys understand? I, for once, look at numbers. I don't look at location. Location might be a factor, but the investment itself in the property, $500,000 property, you pay $3,000, $3,200, I think it is, her mortgage, right? And it brings around $4,200. It's a no-brainer. I'm sorry. It's a no-brainer. People get so stuck with, oh, no, I don't want to live there. Well, you don't have to live there forever, right? You don't have to. 6 months, a year, and you can get out, get another property. Guess what this person is doing already? Getting set up to buy another one. She liked the game already. She's like, oh, like $1,000. Yeah, let me get 2 or 3 more of these, and I'm fine, right? That's where we're at. Investments. We need to see the degree of risk, and the degree is how much money you put in, right? How much money is going to come out. That's the degree of risk. Whether you make $10,000 a month, or you make $100,000 a month, or you make $1 million a month, that does not matter. What matters is, what are you putting into this property or this business, and what are you getting out of it? That's the risk. That's the biggest risk, okay? So make sure when you get into an investment, or when somebody asks you about investments, look for that. So, right here, the idea of investment is simple. You take something of value, time, effort, money, emotion, psychological, your psychological, period. Right, that stress sometimes is not worth it. Right, stress, emotional gets involved, right, and everything else goes from there. And you put it to work in some way to increase its value over time. With any investment, one wants the original investment to grow without losing it. Now, the idea is called conservation of capital. Unfortunately, no investment is truly secure. Unfortunately, no investment is truly secure. Right? External conditions change, and the investment itself can change. Even if you do nothing with it, its value does not remain constant. Next, we have risk versus return. See, the general rule in investments, right here, is that the safer the investment, the more slowly it gains in value. The more you want to gain, the more quickly, the more you must risk losing it. How much do you want to earn? How much are you willing to risk to earn it? And reward in investing corresponds directly with degree of risk. So gambling as an example is only $2. There's a high degree of risk because you'll probably get your money in a 0.111 or I'm sorry, 0.0000001% chance of getting money back. But if you hit the jackpot, right? $865 million, and you only put 2. If you're the lucky one to win the jackpot, it was a high return. The risk, huge risk of you not seeing not even 1 cent back. Huge risk. Okay? But the rewards, that's what you have to see. Now, management. Another aspect of investment is the amount of attention that you must pay for it to to make it work. You can deposit cash in the passbook account and forget about it. You can use your cash to buy a business and then run the business yourself to make the asset grow and earn. But how much do you want to be involved in managing your investment? That's the other question. How involved do you want to be? See, a lot of people open up businesses, right? And instead of the business working for itself, the business is working you, meaning you're a slave to your business, right? So is it profitable? Is it worth it if you become a slave to your business? Is it profitable or worth it? Right? It's funny. It's funny for like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years maybe. It's funny, right? We enjoy it. I mean, I love what I do, right? But it needs to get to a point where you realize, wow, this is going to be my whole life stuck here. Is that the best we can do? You guys understand? So it gets to a point where you're either in the business, right? In there, in the trenches, and it has to be you because nobody else will do it. Or the business is running and you have somebody that's handling, like you delegated part of the business so you can enjoy life on the investment that from the investment or with the investment that you make. So that's the question. Anybody ever owned a business? Raise your hand if you own a business. Okay, cool. Those of you that raise a business, here's my my question. Those of you that had a business, were you a slave to your business or the business was profitable? Let me know. The ones that have or had a business, are you a slave or the business is profitable and you can enjoy life, whatever? Narja says slave. Douglas says slave. Anna, I saw your message. I'll address that in a second. Ingrid, slave. Sandra, slave. All right. Was that a good investment if you guys are saying you're slaves? Bad investment. Really bad investment, right? Don't worry. Slave here too, right? I've had different businesses already, slave to them. In some of them, slave by choice. Like here, I'm a slave by choice. I'm building something and building something big, and that's why I do several hours. My partner and I, we do several hours into the business. We put a lot of work in here, but slaves by choice is different, right? But if you're forced to be there, like a restaurant business, like I said, restaurant business is one of the most stressful businesses ever. You have to be there, right? Then you're a slave. See, Calvin just wrote, early effort dictates later success. Not in all types of businesses. That's one thing. And number two, okay, you also have to be intelligent enough to see that the business does not depend on you that much. I've made those mistakes in the past. Right? I admit that. Until I went to an event, actually, Pedro, again, my partner, went with me at the time. There was 10 people from my previous business until we went to an event. And one of the guys that was there speaking, the first thing he said is, look, I used to think that 100% was the way to go. But every time you're trying to perfect things to 100%, things will never happen. And you keep on having to work to pay the bills versus the business work itself and pay the bills and you enjoying. So he explained to me, to all of us, and that's when things started slowly changing in my business back then and what I do here now, because that's our business is purely that now. We started delegating it more comfortably, right? I started going, instead of looking for 100%, I'm now looking at, hey, if I'm at 80, I'm happy. And if you guys look at the student portal, that's my 80. I know I can do a lot better and I'm constantly improving it, putting more stuff there. If you guys see my setup over here, I'm like 80, right? It was at one point we were like 50. We had the just any computer. Now we got a gaming computer and a streaming computer. So it's like solid, right? We had only one TV and now we got 3 TVs here. So it's solid. Just upgraded our cameras. We got a new camera that we're testing that follows me everywhere during the lecture. So we're improving slowly, but at least we're doing something versus just, hey, we'll only open up when everything is ready. Like I wouldn't know if everything was ready until we tested it out, right? Right now I got 40 people or 40 screens at least, right? The first session that I did with Zoom, the computer that I had, as soon as it got to 40, it froze or it would shut down. Next day we're ordering a gaming computer. So it holds the pressure, let's say. You guys understand? I needed to know. I did not know that Zoom would consume so many resources. Did not know. And I'm in IT. My background is IT, computers. Right? So this goes with it. If you're a slave to it, let's go back to it. If you're a slave to it and try and achieve perfection, yeah, you'll always be a slave. Right? That's what it is. And that is also to say one thing. When you start this business, there's something called, and I'm sure some of you do, what's called analysis paralysis. You guys know what that is? Analysis paralysis, right? I'm a victim of that, or was a victim. Sometimes I still am, even though I try to shake it off. Which is you start analyzing too much. You need to learn everything before you go out there. In this business, just jump head on. Jump head on. I can guarantee you. Jump head on and you'll land a listing, you'll land a buyer, land whatever. Just jump head on. I have somebody actually listening right now on YouTube. I was going to mention her anyway. A beast. Got her license activated 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago now, and hasn't stopped talking to people. Every other minute I either get a message myself or Pedro gets a message, hey, for sale by owner. Talk to this person. They want us to find a buyer. They want to list. Or, hey, another student for you. Hey, another realtor. Hey, I met this person at Identigo during the fingerprints. They want to come interview with you guys. You kidding me? Just passed, not knowing anything, and she's out there pushing. Are you guys understanding this? Analysis paralysis will never get you any results. And I have also the opposite. I have those people. They've been licensed for 2 years almost. I know somebody that has been licensed for 5 years, always renewing for some reason. Not one sale, not one lead, nothing. They will show up and ask questions once in a while. And the same way they show up to ask questions, it's the same way they disappear. Not one lead, not one deal, nothing, just licensed. All right? So you have to understand the degree of risk, what you're going to put in, right? How much do you want to be involved in your investment? This type of investment, you have to be involved in the beginning at least until you build your database. You have to be actively involved, and then you can let go. Right? And now let's look at another thing in investments. Liquidity. We already talked about liquidity before, right? Do you guys remember this, liquidity? Who remembers? Who can tell me what liquidity is of an investment or a property or whatever? Lula, cash. Okay, great. So what does it mean, cash? Liquidity, cash. What does that mean? Harley says value. Denise, cash. Come on, guys. Ingrid, how much cash you have ready to use or available? How liquid is your investment? Don't give me just cash, right? Joanna, easy access to money. Correct. Availability of the cash. So some investments are not liquid at all, like real estate. Real estate takes a while before you can just cash out on your investment. Now, if it's a rental income property, you might cash out every single month by getting what's called a cash flow, right? A positive cash flow. But if you need a large sum of money and you need to sell your property in order to get that, can you sell the property from today to tomorrow? You can, but you'll lose a lot of money. Your property's worth 500. I'll give you 100,000 right now. We're gonna close today, right? Let's not go anywhere. We're closed today. If you let me buy your $400,000 house for 100, we'll close today. Because I'll pay $10,000 just for somebody from a title company to come here right now. Stop everything you're doing, run the reports, run everything. We're closing today. I'll pay extra because I'm getting $300,000 worth of equity. Does that make sense? So you lose in order to immediately cash out. That's the problem with liquidity. How fast can you get to cash? Stock market, you sell, you get the cash right away. Your checking account, hopefully the money's there, right? So you cash on the spot. Savings account, the same thing. Real estate, it's not highly liquid, right? Next, income. I was just talking about that too. An investment can generate income in some way on a periodic basis. You may consume this cash, spending it for goods or services when used up, have no further value, or you may use the cash to put into another investment. This is key. Big mistake that people made back in the golden days, let's say from 2001, from the 2000s, golden days from the 2000s. From 2001 to 2008, the market is never going to stop growing. So people were refinancing, cashing out, using the cash flow, getting their vacations, getting the expensive clothes, getting the expensive cars, right? They're just wasting money instead of reinvesting. The ones that were smart enough to reinvest to get more properties, they barely went down. Barely. Some of them did not suffer a loss at all because the market's right back up. But those that wasted the money, they found themselves in a position where they had to drop real estate or mortgages or whatever they were doing and go back to a job. Know how frustrating it is? Some people were making $100,000 a month. Loan officers, realtors, they're making ridiculous amounts of money a month. And now they have a job. You know how frustrating it is to have money, work for yourself, completely independent, and now, oh, okay, fine, I'll be here at 9. Is it 5 o'clock yet? How do you go from I got to make my own time and I have a lot of fun and I do this and I do that to work for somebody else? How do you think these people feel? You understand? So the biggest issue was people get the income, and I'm not just talking about mortgage people, I'm talking about investors. They think that the wave's never going to end. They don't analyze the cycles, right? They don't analyze the cycles. That is key. We talked about it in the real estate market, right? Or economics, right? The other thing is appreciation. We expect the property to gain value over time, right? What happened in 2010? What happened in the year 2000? What happened the years prior? There's always a chance that the market goes down. We already talked about all this. So income properties, appreciation properties, they're all based on anticipation of something, a future. But people often forget to look at the past. Next thing we have is leverage. Have you ever heard of leverage before? Who can tell me what this means? This is key for me. In any investment, this is key. Let me know what you guys think. Having backup. That's all it is. If I got my boys to back me up, I got leverage. I got you. Okay. No problem. That says use what you have to get what you want. Easy there. Bargain, power, having something on the back burner just in case, right? Using something small to make a larger investment, Lula, great. Guarantee, kind of, all right. So yeah, you can look at it as a kind of like guarantee. You can look at it as kind of like the back burner. You can think about that. But leverage. I have $100,000 in the bank right now. Okay, as an example, I have $100,000. Okay. You find a property that's worth or for sale for $100,000. If you got cash, what would you do? Buy the property right away, right? You got the cash, it's a great return. This property brings you $2,000 every month, clean. Would you buy it cash? Give me a number one if you buy cash right now. Number one, you got $100,000 in the bank. Imagine that, picture it, right? And you find a house that's $100,000. Give me a number one on the Zoom chat, or YouTubers, give me a number one on the YouTube chat. Let me know what would you do right now. I didn't ask for number two yet. I asked for if you would buy cash, one. Okay. I just want to know the ones so far. So who do I got? Nargis, okay. Yanira, okay. All right. So that's it, 2 people. What about, we talked about loans already. We talked about conventional loans. We talked about FHA. Well, let's picture conventional, because these are investment properties, right? Let's picture conventional. Do you guys remember how much How much do you need as a down payment for a conventional loan? Anybody remembers? %20, right? 20%. So that's $20,000, right? Because 20% of 100,000, $20,000. So I could put 20K over here. How much do I have left in my bank account right now? 80. How many more houses can I buy? So with the same $100,000, instead of dumping into one property, I just bought 5, no questions asked. And because they're all income properties, they help me buy the next one and the next one and the next one because they're income properties. It's a lot easier if it's income property because they generate enough income to either pay themselves, right, or close to it, and it doesn't put as much burden when I want to buy another one. If it's an appreciation property, like single families, right, that don't bring as much income, if it's my primary residence, and then these are rentals, but they don't bring as much income because they're just one family, right? Then it's tougher to get approved. But if these are income properties, all of them, boom, you just got 5, right? Let's say each of them with the same 100,000. Look at the math. With the same 100,000, let's say each of them brings you $1,000 clean. That means you're getting $5,000, right, clean every month. Just as an example. How many years does it take for you to get your money back? One of the questions. You guys understand? Versus buying just one, $100,000 into it, how many years will that one take to give you $100,000 back? Questions to ask, right? This is called leveraging. You're putting 20%, so a small portion, in order to get the whole thing, and this allows you to buy more houses. This is something I was explaining to a friend of mine that got involved in investments. She put the whole money into the property. I'm like, actually, she was here not too long ago, a student. Her and her husband buy properties. And I'm like, you're using your own money? It's like, yeah, because the interest rate and this and that from the private lenders, it's high. And I'm like, let me ask you something. How long do you keep these properties before you sell them? Oh, I think max 6 months. Okay. If they were charging you 12% in interest and you use it for 6 months, the 12% is if you use it for the whole year. So technically, it cost you 6% because it was only 6 months. How much is 6% of your investment? And she would start going at it. Okay, we put on paper. Like, you're wasting money every time you buy it, right? With your own money. You guys understand? Leverage. Use other people's money. That's why when you go buy your first house, you put 3.5% down. Interest rates are so low, it's free money. Go for it. You're leveraging. Every time you borrow money, you're leveraging. You just got to be wise about it. You guys understand? That's the key. Wise about it. Leveraging. Never use all your money. You put a small resource used as a lever to make a larger investment. Thus, it increases the opportunity to benefit from income, appreciation, and other rewards of investment, like tax benefits. Here's the other thing. If you put $100,000, if you put less is more. Chrissy. So if you put, not always, but if you put $100,000 into the property, you bought it cash, right? Guess what? When you go do your taxes, you cannot deduct for the interest. You're losing money, right? You're losing money if you're not deducting for interest. Are you guys understanding? There's an offset. And you could have used your money for other properties, as I just showed you. There's an offset. There's a lot of benefits to tax benefits for a property. Gracie says we got to talk. We've been talking, no? Or is it just me? Just me talking? You guys talk. I see you guys mouthing over there. Like, yeah, I know. Walking ATM. Absolutely. Joanna says, so have a mortgage for the rest of your life. That's not quite what I meant. But I did mention, I think the first week I mentioned that there's good debt and there's bad debt, right? You don't want to be in a surpassable amount of debt like it happened to a lot of people back in 2007 and 8, right? Where then you lose your property because you cannot manage the downfall, right? But there's good debt. If the interest rate is good or if the return on that investment is good, why not? Tracy, that's right. All right, do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Good? All right, any questions before I move forward? Because we already talked to our risk. I want you to go to page 274. Guys, there's some people still don't have their cameras on. Make sure your cameras are on, otherwise it does not count towards your hours. If you're doing the hours right now, you need to have your cameras on. Oh, and those of you that did not check in yet, go ahead, take advantage. I don't have to call your names because it's going to show up over here as soon as you check in. He has an excuse. He came here to get the book. Okay, that's why he was late. Anybody else? There's still at least 2 people that did not check in yet. And I'm waiting for questions as you guys are doing this. YouTubers, if you have questions, let me know. Zoomers, if you have questions, let me know before I move forward. Oh, look at that. One more. Okay. Anybody else to check in? All right. So, real estate investments. This is where we were. Real estate investments. So a real estate investment is one in which the investor buys real estate for its investment benefits rather than primarily for its utility. It may have the features of both an equity and debt investment, because you're building equity and then you also have debt association, but it's an investment, depending on the type of real estate involved and numerous other factors, such as the type of interest that one owns. Hold on. Carly, if you paid the house off with a loan, do you still have a mortgage? If you finish paying off the loan, then the mortgage will have to be released. If you finish paying off the loan, then the mortgage has to be released. If you got a new loan, like a refinance, then now you have a new mortgage. The previous one gets released, and then you have a new mortgage. So the mortgage only exists as long as you have a debt associated to it. Okay? So then we have non-income property. Pay attention to this. Like your single family, right? Non-income property. Now, the residential property used as the investor's primary residence. The basic reward, beyond the enjoyment of use, comes in the form of appreciation. So the only thing you have besides use, like big thing, is appreciation, meaning increasing in value, right? There's also tax benefits depending on how it is financed. If it's cash, no tax benefits. If it's financed, cash benefits, right? Tax benefits, you know that. So these are the only thing. Let's look at income property. Why I love income property so much. Ready? Here's some rewards. They come in any and all forms mentioned earlier. So the use, the appreciation, right? You have the income, appreciation. You have the leverage, because you can use an income property in order to buy another one. We already said that. But if you have a single family, it's an expense property. Being an expense property looks negative on you, right? Because it's just money going out versus money coming in. And then tax advantages. See, we're going to talk about more about this later, but your residential property, the only thing you can do for taxes is deduct the interest. An investment property, you can deduct your losses as well. So you replace the roof, tax deductible, right? You fix your bathroom, expense, tax deductible. So there's a lot of other benefits that come with an investment property that you'll never have with a residential single family home, right? So that's one of the differences. Antar, can you have multiple mortgages? What, on the same property? You can. You can have a first mortgage, and then later on, because equity went up, you cashed out. You got a second mortgage, right? Third, fourth. Can you have on separate properties? Yeah. I just showed you before, right? Right here, look. Didn't we talk about this? Right? We put $20,000 down, and we got 5 mortgages of $80,000 each. So yeah, you can. Can you live in the investment property like vacation? So a vacation property will be deemed as a second residence. Okay? But if you're smart about it, you'll turn it into an investment property, like you'll do Airbnb or something like that, right? Chrissy, you can have in the same house as well. Yeah, like I said, you can buy it today for $100,000, and then later on it's worth $200,000. You can get a second mortgage for the difference between $100,000 and $200,000. So lenders will give you like 80%, 70% of that difference. You have a mortgage for $100,000, and now you have a mortgage for $70,000. So $170,000 in debt. Yeah, you could. Just make sure you're smart about it to make an investment into more properties. So now you have 5 properties that you can leverage their appreciation, right? Their equity increase to buy another 5 properties. And then you get to a point where you sell those and you just buy a building instead of managing all those. This way you don't have, Yanir mentioned before, oh, headache, I'd rather be a slave, right? So you want to get to the point where he runs for you. You don't have to do it. You just called me Trump. I'm not even going to make a comment because we're live on YouTube and Zoom, but I'll keep it like that. All right. So, oh, Anna made a comment before. Since you talked about Trump, I just remembered Anna's comment. Those PPP programs just came out again. So if you have a business, maybe you want to take advantage of it. And I think they're way more flexible than what it was before. All right. Thank you for sharing, Anna. All right. Let's see what we got. Yanira, I'm going to kick you out of the Zoom right now, okay? Just because of that comment. All right. Let's see. Chrissy, so it's more like you're taking an equity loan and investing in something else. Yep. So you're using the equity. You can piggyback. It's actually called pyramiding, which is you're piling more loans and loans on top of one property. But if you use that to buy more properties, it's okay. Just make sure the numbers are there. That's all. Don't apologize. You're already on my blacklist. You don't have to apologize. That's it. Not talking to you anymore. All right. Paola wrote comment. What was that? Sanam coming soon. I'll have another one soon. Zaki, I can come anytime during the day to get the book. Yes, the books are here. So you want to come back, get the book, you can. Just make sure you let us know when you're on your way, because I just want to make sure I have somebody here to see you. Okay. All right. Real estate as an investment, risk and reward, illiquidity. We already covered all this, guys. Covered all this stuff. The reward, the risk, right? So I'm going to go right through. All right, we covered being illiquid. The next thing we have is real estate investment entities. Only because we already covered everything there. So real estate investment entities, what are we talking about? How can we own real estate? That's what it is. Could be direct, could be a syndicate, partnership, could be a REIT or a REMIC. So direct, individuals and corporations or the investors may invest as active investors. So I'm buying my own property and maintaining my own property, right? It could be a real estate syndicate, which is a group of investors who combine resources to buy, develop, and operate a property. So we can combine our incomes. We can combine to get a bigger property. We combine our assets, like the money we have, right, in order to buy a bigger property. Look, there's 40 people, well, 38 people. Between the 38 people here, plus online, so we have another 8 people watching online, right? Listen, we could buy a 100-unit apartment building right now. 100 units right now. Who'd like to buy a 100-unit apartment building? Let's do it. Let's combine our resources and buy right now. Syndicate. Okay? That's what it is. We're combining our resources to be able to buy something bigger than I could have bought by myself. Simple. A general partnership, guys, we talked about that in chapter 5. We have general partnership, we have limited partnership. General partnership means we agree to conduct a business together, and we're both, or all of us, active partners. What does that mean? It means we take action on the daily activities of the business. We have a voice on the daily activity of the business. We make profits all together, but we also take losses all together. That means if we get sued joint and several. Does that mean if you don't have the money, I have to pay for everyone, and then have to go after you whenever possible, which is very dangerous, because you might never have the money for the lawsuit, or I might not have the money for the lawsuit. And at that point, we all have to start selling our homes, cars, kids, spouses, in order to make the money to satisfy the lawsuit, right? So the general liability, some of you are laughing, this is true. In certain countries, you can sell them. So or I'm sorry, let me correct that. In certain states, you might be able to sell them too. Carly, leave the kids alone. There's a song about that too. It's about the teacher. Leave the kids alone. No? Okay. Anyway, so I'm bad with music and references, sorry. So general partnership, you have that risk. So you manage and equally participate in the profits or losses that it generates. Whereas in a limited partnership, there's at least one general partner that organizes and operates the business. And then you have limited partners. Limited partners are considered passive investors. Why are they passive investors? Because they're silent partners. Silent partners have no voice or authority, this is what it means, in the business. So a lot of people think, oh, they're silent partners, they want to hide. They don't want the world to know who they are. No, silent partners means I asked you for money, all of you, give me $10,000 each. That's $400,000 right now. I know a great investment. I'm going to go invest the money. If we make money, everybody's happy. If we lose money, right? If we get sued for $1 million, you guys lose whatever you put in, your $10,000. What do I lose? I'm responsible as the general partner. I'm responsible for the remaining balance of that lawsuit. I'm the one fully responsible for the lawsuit. That's what it is. So general partnership, limited partnership. Next we have REITs, or real estate investment trust, right there. REIT, or real estate investment trust. Right? This is a group of investors. You got to have at least 100 investors to be considered a REIT. And in this group of investors, guys, 75% of the income must be from real estate. At least 75% must come from real estate to qualify as a REIT. So it's pretty much 100 investors pooled their resources together, invested in real estate, right? And that's the majority of their investment, real estate. That's the income that we get. Can we invest in something else? We can. But the majority, to be considered a real estate investment trust, must come from real estate. Next, we have REMICs. And the REMIC is you're buying, you guys remember secondary market? Anybody? There's primary market, there's secondary market. Can anybody tell me what is the secondary mortgage market? Just one person, doesn't have to be all. Come on. What is the secondary mortgage market? Freddie and FHA. FHA is Federal Housing Administration, but I know what you were thinking. Fannie Mae. Got it. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, yes. Hillfire. Fannie, Granny, Mac Daddy, and Ginny. That's right. But I asked you what was the secondary market. I didn't ask you what were the biggest players in the secondary market. But I appreciate your answer, guys. Bonnie and Clyde. There you go. Jaquanda says deals with already originated loans. Paola for the win. Purchasing, not issuing. Okay, great. Nope, it's not refinancing. Secondary market, guys, is where loans are bought and sold. They're not originated. They only go to the secondary market after they've been originated. So a REMIC is when somebody's buying a pool of mortgages that were originated. Okay, a REMIC is a partnership formed to hold a pool of mortgages. For you to hold a pool of mortgages, they were originated. You purchased in the secondary market. Secondary market is where they bought and sold, not originated. So refinancing is origination, Ruth. Okay? Again. Please. I don't know which part I got to say again. I said so many things. Where did he stop? Second, okay, that's what I was saying. Yeah, secondary mortgage market. So the beginning. So once upon a time, since I have to say it again, right? What I was saying is that the secondary mortgage market is where loans are bought and sold after they've been originated. Okay. So a REMIC is a group of investors like us. We invest in pools of mortgages already originated. Right? So when Ruth talked about refinancing, refinancing is originating a new loan. Secondary market, there's no origination. It's purchase and sale. So trading already existing loans. Got it? Cool. Now the cool part. Hold on. So it's originate loans to be sold off. No, that's primary market. Primary market is where loans are originated. Secondary market, loans are traded, so bought and sold. Guys, make sure you're on camera and paying attention. If you're not on camera and paying attention, these hours do not count for you. And yes, we watch the videos after the class. Yes, I take notes of who paying attention or not. Yep. And who participates. That's why I'm always asking you guys to answer questions, to participate. All right, taxation. That's you in bed 4 a.m. Oh, that's why I'm in bed at 4. Kinda. Or just the fact that I can't sleep because of the pain. But anyway, doesn't matter. I just entertain myself doing the reports and watching everything all over, yeah. Answering questions at 3 o'clock in the morning. All right. So taxable income. Real estate investments are taxed on the income they produce and on the increase in value or gain when the investment is sold. Now, these forms of taxation are distinct from the ad valorem taxation of real estate. We'll talk about that better in a different chapter, actually the next chapter. Taxable income from investment of real estate is the gross income received minus any expenses, deductions, or exclusions from that current tax law allows. Taxable income from real estate is added to the investor's other income and is taxed at the investor's marginal tax rate, right? And we'll have a section that talks about that. I don't want to go too much in detail there because it's not asked in a lot of detail either. So we're just going to run through the numbers so you guys have an idea. It's not heavily tested. Some of the stuff is not heavily tested at all. This, however, is cost recovery or depreciation. Ligia, can you answer this one? Ligia, there's a question here. Let me. Could you answer this one right here? From Chrissy. It's always better to ask the tax person. Go ahead. See, I'm on YouTube Live and I'm on Zoom Live, and this is going to be recorded and available, so I cannot make these comments. But I won't show the chats to everybody. In real estate, is there any such thing as just cash, or do we have to report everything? That's the question. Harley says loss. Yanir says, well, streetwise or legal? Really? I thought you were going to give something wiser, streetwise. I love the IRS, don't audit me. There you go. Look, the thing that I can tell you right now, then when you talk, when you talk to your CPA, Chrissy, when you talk to your CPA, always ask the legal way to reduce your taxes. Never ask, how can I not pay taxes? Right? Because that's considered tax evasion. But there are legal ways. There's expenses, for instance. There's rent collection loss, which we're going to talk about also. If you do not collect rent for 2 or 3 months, they can't say, oh, where's the money? Well, you didn't collect it. Right? So that's what it is. Make sure you talk to your CPA. Always ask, what is the legal way to reduce taxes? What is the legal way to pay like these multi-billionaires that don't pay anything in taxes because they know the people that know the tax codes. Not even the tax law, because it's not a law, but anyway. But people that know the tax code. Or you can also read the book yourself, right? The tax code, and try to understand it. It's one or the other. Okay? I'm going to talk about a few things on how not to pay taxes legally. I'm going to talk on a few. Of reducing taxes, it's your CPA, and it's according to your own personal financial situation. There's things that apply to me that don't apply to you. It's as simple as that. Or vice versa. There's things that you might benefit that I cannot benefit from. So CPA according to your current situation. Let's talk about cost recovery or depreciation. Now, what is cost recovery or depreciation? You guys already know the word appreciation is increase in value, right? Depreciation has to do with loss. If appreciation is increase, depreciation has to do with loss. So the IRS, Joe's best friend, right? The IRS says if you lost money, you can deduct for that loss, right? In this case, we call it cost recovery or depreciation. There's a wall right here, right? There's a wall. There's floor. There are lights. There's a roof. There's plumbing, right? There's windows. Are these going to live forever? Or there's something called useful life of the asset. Okay? They're not going to live forever. Eventually, you need to replace something. So what they do is allow you to deduct each year a portion of the property's value from the gross income over the life of the asset. Okay? The life of the asset and the deductible portion are defined by law. In theory, the owner recovers the full cost of the investment if it is held to the end of the asset's economic life, as defined by the IRS. At the time of selling the asset, the accumulated cost recovery is subtracted from the original investment, original value, as part of determining the taxable capital gain. Did I tell anybody that I don't like single families? Residential? Did I ever mention that? I just want to make sure. Did I? No? Okay. Let's see if you guys understand now why I don't like single families. Look what it says. You want to fix a roof? Go ahead. In a single family, you don't get cost recovery. You want to replace a bathroom? Like you need to renovate the whole thing? Yep, in a single family, you cannot. Sorry. Cost recovery is only allowed for income properties. Okay, income properties. Okay, and it only applies to improvements. Well, Joanna, if you have a single family income property, yeah, it will apply to it, but I still don't like single family income properties. Sorry. That's me. Can you get it? Can I get it? Sure. The numbers have to be really, really good for me. Okay? Otherwise, might as well get land and just leave it there and it'll gain value. That's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own. Says who? Okay. So here's the thing. First of all, everything should be under business name. That's the first thing. I'm not gonna talk about investments too much. I'm just gonna go right through because we said we have a lot to cover still. But you're asking me now if I live in a non-income property. Right. First of all, I don't believe in living. I've been there, done that. Don't believe in living in a non-income family property. That's the first thing. The second thing is everything under an LLC or a corp, and having a holdings company that you can talk to your CPA about. And the reason being is if you want to reduce your tax burden, if you want to take advantage of the tax code, right? You don't want anything under your name. It's just like being an employee. There's barely anything you can deduct. So if you put everything under business names, everything under other type, or if it's an investment, like a business, right? Like this you're doing right now as an independent contractor, everything, including this class, is tax deductible. Get a car under the LLC if you can, tax deductible, right? Lease a car, tax deductible. I'm just giving you examples. But again, talk to your CPA about it. So Anna, if you own a two-family property, is it better to have it under an LLC? You should never have anything under your name, because if you get sued because of a car accident and there's not enough money in that insurance policy, they might have to come after your personal assets. If it's under an LLC, it doesn't belong to you. How can they come after the assets? Saying, or vice versa. If somebody slips and fall on the property, they cannot come after you personally. Antar, if I had an LLC, can I write my rent check under my LLC? Sorry, a little lost. You're a tenant, that's what you're saying? You're a tenant and you want to pay under an LLC? Okay, so well, if your landlord put in the lease that you are an LLC, that they're renting to the LLC, maybe. All right, so these are questions to ask your landlord. Hey, don't rent it to me, rent it to my LLC. And then here's the other thing, depending on where you live, you might not be able to. If it's a residential area, how is it rented to a business? Then you have to explain that it's rented to the business because you are a, what do you call it? A person of interest to the business. So therefore, the business is covering that housing expense. Some businesses do that. Unions do that. So labor unions, they do that a lot. They'll pay under the LLC, they'll pay for housing for their employees. Yeah, so you can. But it's just a matter of agreement. And tax write-off. Anyway, talk to your CPA. Let's move forward. You guys already understood the benefit then of investment properties, right? There's nothing wrong with having a non-income property. There's nothing wrong with having your single family. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that you're not maximizing the benefits of this country. That's all it is, right? You're not taking advantage of it. Now, depreciation schedule. This is what we have. Right here it says residential rental properties are appreciated over a period of 27 and a half years. Over a period of 27 and a half years. What does that mean? It means that, as an example, if you hold on to the property for 29 years, right? At the 29th year, well, actually the 28th, but at the 29th year, how much can you depreciate on that property if you've done no improvements whatsoever for 29 years? Anybody? The answer is 0. Right? You have 27 and a half years from your investment, 27 and a half years to deduct for expenses on that. 27 and a half years. Okay, that's what the IRS sees as the asset's useful life. So over 27 and a half years, most likely you replaced everything in your house already. That's what they assume. That's what, on average, what it will be. Okay? If it's commercial, it's 39 years. Now look what it says right here. The proper method of depreciation should be determined by consultation with somebody was complaining about my handwriting this morning and yesterday in the morning. But I think you guys can understand what I wrote here, right? Right? It's a little blurry. Let me know when it's clear. Carly wrote BFF. That's right. BFF. Very, very important. All right. When real estate. All right. Leisha just wrote exactly. Lie to your wife, but not to your accountant. Yes. Yes. Lie to your wife, but not to the accountant. Yes. No, of course not. Don't lie to your wife. You kidding me? Why would you give that type of advice, Leisha? You want everybody to get divorced now? Lie to your wife. Don't lie to the wife or to the accountant. Those are the two people you don't lie to. The doctor? Maybe. But accountant? The wife? No. They're detectives. Kidding me? Anyway. Tatiana, you got a little too excited there. Yes. All right. Whether the real estate, when real estate, whether non-income or income is sold, a taxable event occurs if the sale proceeds exceed the original cost of the investment, subject to some adjustments. There is something called capital gain, and that is subject to tax. So if you have a capital gain, that means you gain a big lump sum of money. We're not talking about the money you get every month. We're talking about at time of sale, what was the capital or the large sum that you won or that you lost. The capital gain and capital loss is at the time of sale. So an investor, so you can call that profit, by the way, it's the profit. An investor can sometimes defer the reporting of gain or loss and hence taxation of the gain by participating in an exchange of like-kind assets. So one of the ways of not paying taxes right away, because it says right here, defer, right? Postpone, right? One of the ways of not paying taxes right away is doing an exchange. Why exchange? Let me ask you something. If I exchange something with you, did I gain anything? Did I lose anything? No, because usually an exchange is of equal value. So if there's an exchange of equal value, right? Did I gain? Did I lose? The answer is no. So therefore, I don't get taxed at that time. Section 1031 exchange, because it's Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. Section 1031 exchange. So when anybody says Section 1031, they mean an exchange of a property for another. This is only applicable for investment properties. Okay, the 1031 exchange, applicable for investment properties. For primary residences, there's another way to not get taxed. I'll explain that later. Okay? So this, you won't get taxed right away. So, this is also called a Starker exchange, named after the investor who won the case against Joe's best friend. Won the case against the IRS. Now, to qualify under Section 1031, there must have been a legitimate exchange of the assets involved. Again, legitimate exchange, one property for another. The property being transferred must have been held for productive use in a trade or business or held as an investment and must be exchanged for a property that will also be used in a trade or business or be held as an investment. The tax on the gain is deferred until the investment property or business property is sold and not exchanged. So technically what we're saying is you can sell property A, roll the investment or the profit into property B. You can sell property B, roll it into property C. You can sell property C, roll it into property D. And you can keep on going until there's no more exchanges. All right? So one of the books that I have in the library is going to teach you to defer, 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 and die. This way you're not taxed. Right? There's a loss. Right? Their loss, because they cannot tax you. Right? So defer, 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 and die. The reason for this is instead of paying capital gains, you keep on improving the property that you have because it increases in value. You exchange for another of equal value. You get more rental, you get more appreciation, whatever, and you keep on moving to better and better properties. At the end, well, it's the end. Simple. All right? There's still a chance of them getting some money, obviously, because there's a capital gain at the end when you die, but it doesn't come out of your pocket anymore. Your heirs have to deal with it, and here's the good thing. If you have an insurance, life insurance, it might cover whatever they have to pay in inheritance tax anyway. A lot of different things you guys need to learn along the way. That's why a CPA is your BFF. Okay, tax professionals should always be around you. All right, the next we have is mortgage interest. All right. Look, I have it in green, mortgage interest. This is the only thing that's tax deductible all around, both in non-income property and income property. Okay? So this is the only one that's deductible all around. The principal payments are not deductible, but interest is. Okay? Because you're paying somebody else money. I'm sorry, I'm lost, Joanna. You said if PMI is not deducted for a few years, can you claim present time? So you want to do your taxes now and go back and claim the past 10 years of paying PMI? Is that what you're asking? Just want to make sure. Because it becomes very difficult. I'll let you know right now. Something you did not claim in the past, the moment you start trying to claim things of the past, you have to change your previous taxes. You have to do a 1040X, which is to change your previous taxes. And I don't know if for $200 a month, if you want to have that type of red flag on your file. Just saying. Okay? I just did the... So I finally did taxes on a company that I had that I kind of closed in 2018. But until 2018, we did not correct. Sorry, we did not do the final taxes on that until this year, 2020. We did not do the final taxes on that company. So we finally did it. Now I have to go correct my 2018 taxes. Right? You do this once, you do this twice, you do this 3 times, it's a red flag. Like, why are you always going back and forth? Are you taking advantage of the system and then going back? Right? So we got to be careful with those things. But again, these are not questions to ask me. Alicia just answered, this is the 1098 form. But these are not questions to ask me. These are questions to ask your CPA. I can tell you right now, the more you change the past, red flags. And then in the future, if there's any other issue, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now, there's already a red flag on your what's called your master file. Okay? So I don't know if you want to mess with Joe's best friend. They might send Joe out to see you. All right? So talk about that with your CPA. I'm not going to give you tax advice. I'm giving you my opinion. Right? So this is the disclosure. I'm giving you my opinion based on things that I have done. Things that I've went through. But you can always, as Ligia said, you can call on Tyrone. There's a song about that too. There you go. Maybe Tyrone can help you. All right, passive activities. All right. There's active activities and there's passive activities. We talked about passive investors. We talked about active investors. What is a passive investment? Anybody? Who can tell me what's passive investment? Antar says I'm funny. Try to. Does not operate. Silent, for instance. Yeah. So a passive activity is one in which you are not directly involved. An active activity is one that you are directly involved, like a general partner versus a silent partner, right? Or a limited partner. So if the investment runs without you, it's passive. If the investment needs you, like a restaurant business, it's active. You guys understand? So losses, as it says here, losses from passive activities, right, are only used to offset passive income. Losses from active activities are used to offset active income. So pretty much, this is what I have here. Pretty much, they offset each other. This is different from deductions. Offsets are different from deductions, or credits, I'm sorry. Different from credits. So passive losses with certain limitations may be carried forward to future years or accumulated and deducted from the capital gain at the time of the sale. Next, we have investment analysis of a residence. Investment analysis of a residence. And again, the only thing we have is appreciation, deductibles, and so on, right? So appreciation. Increase in value of an asset over time. What I'm going to show you guys is a couple of questions that might be in the state exam. Might be in the school exam. right? It's a couple questions for you guys to be ready for. If I want to know how much the property appreciated or what was the total appreciation, very simple. I bought the house for $300,000. The current market value is $400,000. How much did it appreciate? Well, it's worth $400,000. I bought it for $3,000. I appreciated $100,000, right? What is that in percentage? Total appreciation, to 100,000 divided by the original price. That is 33% appreciation. I bought it for $300. It went up $100,000. I gained 33% on this investment. Not a bad deal, right? 33% gain, not a bad deal. What if I held it for 3 years? How much did I win, or how much did it appreciate per year? Well, simple. It's the same math. 33% divided by the 3 years. I had an average of 11% return or appreciation per year. Does your money increase at 11% a year in your savings account? No? Do you have any investment right now that gives you 11% a year? Any investment right now that gives you 11% solid a year? Okay. Oh, let me rephrase that. Taluk, right? Do you have any investment that gives you 11% a year with a guaranteed or collateralized asset? Meaning that there's minimum to no chance of losing. Okay? Not 100% guaranteed, but there's a minimum to low chance of losing. Barely any. So real estate is always, always, always one of the best investments you can make. But it also always goes back to the numbers too. It's about numbers. Next, the primary tax benefit available for the owner of non-income property is the annual deduction of mortgage interest. That's it. The seller of a primary residence may owe tax on capital gains, that results from the sale. The IRS defines gains on the sale of a home as the amount realized from the sale minus adjusted basis on the home sold. So a lot of people, I know nobody understood what I said right now, but a lot of people think, oh, I sold the property for $500,000. I bought it for $300,000, so I have to pay taxes on $200,000. No, it's not like that. It's not I sold for $500,000. I bought it for $300,000. I paid taxes on $200,000. No. The way it works is this. There's a sales price minus the cost of the sales. And you're going to figure out the amount realized, which is net sales price. Okay? The sales price is the gross sales price. The costs of the sale are, and I'm going to show you in a little bit, commission and settlement costs. It's not the $500,000. $500,000 minus whatever you have to pay to sell. Simple. So you pay whatever's left. So here's an example. Larry and Mary sold their home for $300,000. I'm going to show right now, Yanir. So Larry and Mary sold their home for $350,000. Their selling costs, including the commission they paid to broker Betty, and the amounts paid for inspectors, survey, title company, and so on, amounted to 10% of the selling price, or $35,000. So they sold for $350,000. They paid $35,000 between commission and all other costs. How much did they take home? $315,000 net. Is this what you pay taxes on? No. There's something called adjusted basis. First of all, the word basis means cost. There's the beginning basis, or the beginning cost, which is the purchase price. And then later on, we make improvements to the property. We put money into the property. Capital improvements are added to the basis. Capital improvements are added to the basis. So if I put $10,000 on top of the purchase price, right? Let's say the purchase price is $200,000, right? Then I have $210,000 as basis, as cost. Okay? So let me show you right here. To figure out the adjusted basis, we have the beginning basis, which is the purchase. Okay? Plus capital improvements. Rehab costs, right? Minus, so plus, minus exclusions, credits, or other amounts received. So if every year you applied for depreciation, for instance, or cost recovery, every year you applied for it, then that was a benefit that we're going to deduct from your cost. Right? And that's how we reach the adjusted basis, or actual cost. Okay? So for example, Mary and Larry, originally started with Larry and Mary, but let's go Mary and Larry now. Mary and Larry originally paid $200,000 for their home. They spent an additional $10,000 on a new central heating and cooling unit. Their adjusted basis, therefore, is $210,000. Okay? So they sold their property for $350,000 minus $35,000 worth of expenses, so that's $315,000, right? And their basis was $210,000. Is that how much they're going to have to pay in taxes, the difference between those? Let's figure out. It doesn't talk about depreciation here, so we don't put depreciation into play. Here are the numbers that we just talked about. Look right here. Selling price of the old home, $350,000. Selling costs, $35,000. Net sales price, $315,000. This is how much they took home from the sale. That's how much they took home from the sale. The beginning basis, or the purchase, was $200,000. But then they added improvements to the property of $10,000. So the adjusted basis, they simplified it here for you. The adjusted basis is $210,000. What is your profit? Your profit is based on net sales price minus the adjusted basis. So that's your gain or profit. Actually, let me figure this out. Taxable profit. Okay, $105,000 is how much you cleared. $105,000 is how much you cleared. But if I didn't tell you anything, you'd go by the $350,000 minus the $200,000 purchase, and you'd pay taxes on the $150,000. You guys understand? So you pay taxes on whatever you took home minus whatever you put into the property. Whatever you took home from the sale minus what you put into the property. That's what you pay taxes on. This is your taxable profit right here, $105,000. Any questions before I move forward? Tatiana, you have yes, a question, or you just said yes to what I said? You got a question? Okay, go. Note everything you do on the house. Yeah, keep all the receipts. Yep. On the investments, because the other one doesn't matter. Beginning price, meaning they bought. Yes, so the beginning price or beginning cost is the purchase price. Yep. They bought it for 200,000. They sold it for 350. Yes. Right there. But is 350 the number we need? Is 200 the number we need? No, because the question gave us more information. The question told us that we paid commission. The question told us that we pay settlement costs like surveys. We pay for appraisals. We pay for taxes. We pay for this. We pay for that. Recording, whatever or not, right? So we have to deduct all that to figure out how much we took home. So it's from that money. Now, look right here. They have to pay taxes on the $105,000, right? Maybe. There's a maybe. They might not have to pay taxes at all. Let's figure out. It says, in the case Mary and Larry, their capital gain was $315 minus $210, or $105,000. They will owe tax on this amount in the year of the sale unless they qualify for the exclusion described below. All right? Ready? Here's an exclusion that's available both on state and federal. These are gains tax exclusion. If you are an individual and your profit or capital gain was not more than $250,000, or if you're married, filing jointly, and your profit was not more than $500,000, then you don't have to pay any taxes on that gain. If it's your primary residence, and you sold your property, right, and you made $100,000 profit, it's yours. They cannot tax it if you're single or if you're married. You made $250,000, it's yours. They cannot tax it if you're single or if you're married. You made $300,000 profits, it's yours if you're married. If you're single, you have to pay taxes on the difference from the $50,000. You made 300, the exclusion is $250 for individual. So you only pay taxes on the $50,000 difference. Okay, the overflow, let's call it. Okay? And here's the cool thing. This is only available on the sale of your residence. Not investment property, residence. And this can be claimed every 2 years. So you, because it's your residence, look at this. You must have owned the property for at least 2 years out of the previous 5. Own the property. I'll get back to those questions in a second. You must have used the property as principal residence for a total of 2 years during the 5-year period. That means you lived in that property for at least 2 years. You lived in that property for at least 2 years before you sold it. You don't have to sell it right away. You can move out of that property, go to another one, and still collect rent for another 3 years. The total of 5 years, you must have lived there for at least 2. You can have the property for 5. You must have lived there for at least 2. Okay? At the time of sale, you qualify for these exemptions. And you can do this every 2 years. Every 2 years, you can move to a different property and not pay taxes on the old one. Move to a different property, not pay taxes on the old one. Look at that. You wanted to know how not to pay taxes? Just keep on moving. That's it. All right? Legally. This is legally. Way not to pay taxes. All right, let's see. Wafa says, I saw that question in the practice test you made online. Yep. Carly, so if you profited $300,000, you don't pay 50, you pay taxes on the 50. So if you kept it for a long term, and we'll talk about that at a different time, but if you kept it for a long term, you pay up to 15% on that 50,000, or if it's short term, up to 25% on that 50,000. Not on the whole thing, just on that. You don't give the IRS 50,000, you pay taxes on the 50. Okay? Chrissy, could it be a multi as long as you live there, owner occupied? Antar, how would they know if you lived on the property as a principal residence? Well, do you do your taxes? It says there, what's your primary residence? You can only do your taxes based on your primary residence. That's one of the ways. Right? Your driver's license? Maybe. If you ever get audited, you have to show that you had records there, if you ever get audited. Yanira, is that the same when you switch names of a business? What do you mean when you switch name? Oh, Ligia answered that for you, the taxes. Yeah. What do you mean if you switch names of a business, Yanira? Ingrid, so does it mean you don't pay any taxes? Or taxes on because when you do your taxes, you pay on income? Well, look, whatever the rental income is becomes income. That you can't get away from, right? But we're talking about on that bulk sale. When you sell it and you get that bulk income, which is the profit, that you don't pay taxes on. And as far as profit on your income, do you have profit? Right? Goes back to Chrissy's question. Did you have losses on rentals? Did you receive cash? What are you reporting? What are you not reporting? Technically, you're supposed to report everything, right? But then you have deductions. Remember that. You have deductions. So you might have losses. You never know. Right? Talk to your CPA. All right. Yanira, that is... Okay, let me show this real quick, the question. It's not exactly like that. You can keep on switching names and not paying taxes as if you keep moving. It's not exactly like that. What the IRS allows you, just like here with a house, allows you, is for you to have a business for 5 years and you have to profit for at least 2 out of those 5. For at least 2 out of those 5 has to be a profit. Otherwise, it's considered a hobby and not a business. If it's considered a hobby, not a business, you cannot apply for the deductions. So that's pretty much what that means with the, hey, you close a business after 2 years and move on to another one because it was not profitable. Right. I keep on opening businesses and closing businesses. It's not like I'm trying not to pay taxes. It's some businesses I profit, some businesses I lose. It's just the way it is. Some gain, some lose. And if you keep on moving, so a lot of people tell you this strategy, careful, red flag again, right? Careful, red flag again. You have to show that you literally open up the business. If they ever want to audit you, you have to show that you literally open up the business with the intention of profiting, right? And then that you did not close the business with the intention of defrauding, okay, or tax evasion or anything like that. So be careful with that. Again, make sure you talk to your CPA when it comes to opening or closing businesses and the consequences that you might have, all right? So it is something like that. Just be careful. You want to make sure you're doing it right and not get audited and then have to pay back a bunch of money. There's a car dealer closed by, and that was the issue. They will open the books up to 10 years, his books after something like this. They opened the books 10 years, and they smacked him with $300,000 in IRS. Smacked him with $300,000 lien. Yeah. So gotta be careful when you closing businesses, opening businesses, right? It's fine. You can have multiple businesses. Some succeed, some fail. Talk to your CPA just so you're sure that you're showing that the intention was to benefit, not just defraud the IRS. All right, the investment analysis of an income property. Some of the stuff here is going to be valuable for you as an investor or even to tell your clients. For state exam, the majority of what we're going to go over right now, Does not apply. But as far as the question. Now this is something you must know. Cash flow. Who can tell me what is cash flow? If you ever heard of it. Let me know in the chat without reading cash flow. Money coming in, extra money coming in, liquidity. What else? Your money coming in, revenue, steady income. Okay, cash in and out, money coming in and out, profit. Okay. What else? Money ready to use or available. Okay, what else? Consistent money. That'll be great. I would love persistent money. Consistent and persistent. Right? Persistingly and consistently getting into my account. I would love that. Money coming out of your business. So you're saying cash flow is just flowing out. Cash flowing out of your business? That's what you're saying, Eloy? Profit after expenses. Oh, coming to you. Okay, got it. What else? Anybody else? How much money you're getting back from your investment? Shows the money a business show on their books. Okay. All right, so let's talk about cash flow. Cash earned and spent. Okay, I want you to think about cash flow as spendable money after the expenses. So cash flow is the money that comes into the property minus the money that goes out of the property, like the expenses, right? Whatever's left is cash flow, which we call spendable money. Okay, that's the net, the spendable money. The thing is, you might have positive cash flow. You might have negative cash flow. What is negative cash flow? You're paying for that investment, right? It's the same thing as that restaurant business that I told you guys earlier. If you have to work the business, right, then you're a slave. If you're paying for that investment, most likely you are a slave of the investment. It was a bad investment, right? You need to make the money work for you, so you receive money instead of paying money, right? So there's positive cash flow, negative cash flow. If you guys go sorry, there's an ambulance passing by. So if you guys go to the recommended books, book number 2 is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay? This book right here, it says right here, what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and the middle class do not. Okay? So this book, and Robert Kiyosaki is big on this, on talking about cash flow, is making the money work for you. Right? Some of you are paying to go to work. That's ridiculous. Right? Just so you can have a job. You can say you have a job. Paying to go to work is ridiculous. Some of you spend so much money, right? And don't get me wrong, right? We need to do something, right? But there's a lot of people, you start doing the math, like you get paid, let's say $18 an hour, but then the cost of going to work and having to have a babysitter and then having to have this and having to have that. At the end of the day, Jonathan, perfect. You got the book. There you go. At the end of the day, you're paying to go to work, right? It might not be a good investment at all, right? So, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm not telling you guys quit your jobs. That's not what I said. What I said is start looking at alternatives. And I think that's why you guys, some of you are here. You're looking at alternatives. You're looking to make more money. Well, this book, I already told you about starting with why. But this book right here, it gives you a different perception of money. Okay? You don't work for money. Money works for you. In the beginning, you have to work for money so you can accumulate enough so you can invest and make it work for you. That's the whole thing about investments. Another thing that Robert Kiyosaki does have, and I like, I don't know how you guys are with board games, but there's something called the cash flow game. Okay? The cash flow game, you have the online, you have the actual board game, and you have an app. I'm not promoting this like I'm getting money on it, because I don't. You go straight to the site. I don't get money. It's just that even my 14-year-old son, since he was 10 or 11, he's been playing the game on the phone, and he loves it. He actually got a bunch of other games for it. But this is a game that shows you how to exit the rat race. What is the rat race? You're paying to work. Paying to work for what? To get some money to pay some bills and then go back to work. To get some money to pay some bills to get back to work. Get out of the rat race. And this game is very helpful for you to understand what it is. I call this Monopoly on steroids. If you ever played Monopoly, Monopoly is a great game. This one's even better. All right. Anthony says, I just ordered that book. Good. Miss Dobson, when I was working in New York, I was paying $400 a month in transportation. Well, but was it worth it? That's the question. You could pay $1,000, $2,000 in transportation as long as the income was there, right? Otherwise, you're paying to go to work. All right. I don't know if we have a doctor, but I got an MD Rahal that says, good evening. Good evening, doctor. Going on. All right. Yanira says, I worked in New York car dealer, but I asked for an easy pass. There you go. Let them pay for it, right? I'll come to work if you pay for it. I'd love that. And the sitter. So they paid for your babysitter? You're that good at sales? Wow. All right, cool. If you're that good at sales, then yeah, pay for transportation and for your babysitter. There you go. That's cool. All right, so what is cash flow? It's the difference between the amount of actual cash flowing into the investment as revenue and out of the investment for expenses, debt service, and all other items. Now there's pre-tax cash flow. There's pre-tax cash flow, right? Which a lot of people go like, oh, I made $1,000 clean this month. Great. Yeah, at the end of the year, it's $12,000. You still have to pay taxes on the money that you made. Okay? So careful when spending that money. So we're going to look at both of them to finalize this chapter. Let's talk about pre-tax cash flow. This is the math. We have the potential rental income. Potential rental income, if you guys remember from chapter 16, we talked about in appraisals, right? We talked about potential rental income would be what? Assuming 100% collection, right? So if we were to receive 100% of the potential profit of this property, this is what we could expect. But we know that we have some vacancy and we have some collection losses, right? We know that there are some tenants, right, Chrissy? I was talking about that before. Oh, I still did not change? I don't know if I saw Chrissy. She's like this. I don't know if she was casting a spell, like let it be over. I don't know what she was doing. Then all of a sudden I was like, why is all that movement happening there? All right. Thank you. All right. And then Chaz and Anna also wrote. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, where was I? Potential rental income is you assuming that you have 100%, right? But you know that as I was talking about Chrissy's question before, you might have rent collection losses. You might have empty units, people that don't pay, right? And that becomes your effective rental income. The same thing, so far, the same thing as we had for the evaluation of income properties, right? Then we have to consider other income. Let's say you have coin-operated laundry machines in the basement. And that will give you your gross operating income. Somewhat familiar so far? Right? We talked about this in chapter 16. Then what do? We deduct expenses. In this case, only in this case, for tax purposes, we also deduct reserves. Because if you're smart about it, you're going to pull a little bit of the money and set it aside for a rainy day, just in case, right? So you're going to set it aside. That's reserves. And that brings us to the NOI, or net operating income. Okay? Another term that you guys should remember from appraisals. Now, NOI, I don't know if you guys remember, when we talked about evaluation of a property, an income property, when we talk about valuation of income property, we said that we do not include mortgage or any other financing against the building. Well, for tax purposes, we now do, because that's an expense that we have every single month. So how much money do I put in my pocket? Well, the only way to know is if we deduct the mortgage. And that gives us the pre-tax cash flow. This is how much I take home every month after paying all expenses now, right? Except one. Taxes. Pre-tax. All right. So let's look at some numbers. Here's an example. It says a small office building of 3,500 square feet rents at $20 per square foot. Okay? If fully rented, the annual rental income would be $70,000, so that's a PGI, or potential gross income. Historically, the property averages around $4,200 in vacancy and collection losses. Equipment rental will provide an additional $2,000 per year in income, and the owner will have to pay operating expenses to $10 per square foot, or $35,000 per year. The owner sets aside $1 per square foot, or $3,500 per year, for reserves. The owner financed the purchase of the building with a loan that requires an annual debt service amount of $20,000. The pre-tax cash flow for the building is, again, what we just went over. 100% is $70,000. That's what we expect. That's the PGI, or potential gross rental income. Then we have to deduct minus the $4,200 of losses, which they give it to you, the information, right? How much money can we really expect every year? $65,000. Then they add other income, so the rental income that we said before, and that tells us that this is the gross operating income. From here, what do? We deduct expenses and the reserves. So the NOI, or net operating income, from the property is $29,000. Why am I saying from the property? Because we have another expense that eventually will end, right? While these are fixed, eventually the mortgage could disappear. So that's why it's calculated separately. Debt service is always separate. So once we reach the NOI, we're going to deduct $20,000 for the mortgage. How much do we net every year on this property? $9,300. That's how much we take home from this property, clean, after paying all the expenses. Now, if the mortgage is done, if we have no more mortgage, we make almost $30,000 on it. But because we have $20,000 worth of mortgage, we only get $9,300 for now. You guys good so far? Give me a thumbs up. It's just numbers, right? We're good, right? Now, tax liability. How much do you have to pay in taxes? Let's look at the numbers here. Next page. It says, when the rental property is owned as an individual, look at the difference, or by way of a pass-through entity like a partnership, LLC treated as a partnership for tax purposes, or S-Corp, its net income is taxed at the individual personal marginal tax rate. So the next exhibit shows the tax rate to be at 24%. So if your tax rate, or marginal tax rate, or tax bracket is 24%, then this is how it goes. Okay? You guys remember the NOI? It was 29,300. Reserves was 3,500. Interest expense, so remember, we can deduct for interest on that mortgage. So the interest expense was $10,000 worth of interest. Who remembers this one? Cost recovery expense. What is cost recovery expense? Only available for investment properties. It is a deduction, but what is it called? Or what is it for? Cost recovery expense. For improvements, depreciation, perfect. So it's the cost recovery, the cost that we put into the property or the investment, right? So we can recuperate here $22,000 worth of expenses to the property, $22,000. So we brought 29 for this year. We have to add the reserves because that's the total that came in, right? So it's a little bit more. Then we took $10,000 for interest paid to the bank minus the depreciation. Depreciation, right? How much is left? $800. So I don't get taxed on the $29,000. I don't get taxed on the $9,300 after paying mortgage. I get taxed on $800. Tell me how you can do that with a primary residence. Cannot. All right? So I'm only getting taxed on the $800. That's the benefit of being independent. That's the benefit of investment properties. I'm only getting taxed on $800. My tax rate is 24%. So my tax liability is only, out of $30,000 almost, my tax liability is only less than $200. That's one of the advantages of investment property, besides the income. Okay? Now, pre-tax, after tax. Now, they screwed up on the numbers here. It's supposed to be that 192, right? Or up there is the 224, one of them. But this is how much I got clean pre-tax. This is how much I have to pay for taxes. And after tax is the number that you guys need to always look at. I don't care what anybody says. After tax is the number I need. That's the money that I really, really, really make with this property. I make $9,000 clean with this property. That's what it is. That's the number I need to look at. Plain and simple. Any questions? All right. I'm going to skip those and we are done. We are done with this chapter. It's 8 o'clock, 8:02 actually. Guys, we're going to be back at 8:10. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. The next chapter is way shorter. Take a quick break to 8:10. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to close this session and open another one close to 8:10. Make sure you guys subscribe. Click the alert bell because that will alert you as soon as we're back online. All right? See you guys soon.